Anoche Frimpong, lawyer, historian, leading member of the CPP. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing very well, except that Nana is not part of my name.
Oh, I see. There's no Nana there. Yeah. So it's Mr. Yao Anoche Frimpong.
Or even Doctor. I hold a PhD.
All right.
But if you call me Yao Anoche Frimpong, I don't have a
Oh, no, the PhD, it's very difficult to come by. So we're adding the doctor there. Dr. Yao Anoche Frimpong. Good morning to you.
Good morning, madam.
For the uninitiated, and I'd be surprised that we have listeners who are not so familiar with yourself, but for those of us or those who don't know you so well, do tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
It's very difficult when you are saying things about yourself. But as you have mentioned, my name is Yao Anoche Frimpong. I'm a private legal practitioner, and as you said, I'm a leading member of the CPP. And most people in the country would say that I'm referred to as the lawyer historian. I do a lot of history on various channels in the country and even outside the country. Yes, yeah.
Okay, and that's where I, for instance, I'm often acquainted with your work is if I see the clips that go around on social media when you're educating us on some much needed Ghanaian history. But you recently contested the CPP flagbearer elections. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way that you wanted. What do you believe were the key factors that ultimately influenced the outcome?
I would say that it was one fundamental factor, and that has been the bane of the development of democracy in this country. You know, when Nkrumah returned from abroad, he didn't have one penny or cent on him, but because he had very good ideas and the right ways to address the political issues of the day, people followed him, and in the end, this penniless man became our leader. Today, it appears it's not much so, because, you see, initially, I wasn't in the race. When they opened nominations, I wasn't interested. I was somewhere not quite interested. I felt my time would be maybe 2028. Then some people in the party, home and abroad, asked me to quickly go for the forms, and they had very good reasons that we are going to have just about 2 months of effective campaigning, because the primaries were held in September, so it means September will not be counted, and then the election is not going to be held on 31st December. It will be 7th December, so it means that you don't have any campaigning in December. So effectively, you are talking about October and then November. And you are not here. I mean, they're telling me that you are one person for the past 3 years or so God has marketed in the country. You know, the people who are going to vote, almost 100% of them are always on social media. And they see you talking about Kwame Nkrumah, national issues, the history of this country. So it means that you stand shoulder higher than anybody who would want to contest the CPP primaries. And it also shows that you have already been marketed, so the 2 months will not count. The 2 months, all we need will be just putting your banners and posters everywhere for the people going to vote to know that the lawyer historian is actually standing on the CPP ticket, period. But in the case of others, you need to introduce them to the hearts and eyes of the country, and it's not easy to do that in 2 months. So that, and me too being an Nkrumah, I felt, yes, I had to do that for my God, for my country, and for my party. And then the second reason being that NDC has a base in the country.
That's right.
So before an election, they know that voter and OT votes are waiting for them, 80% or more waiting. MPP has a base, Eastern and then Ashanti. So about 80% of those votes always waiting for them. The reason why CPP has not fared well is simply because we don't have a base in the country. And to have a base, it happens in America, in UK, everywhere in the world. You must come from a certain place that endorses you as their son, technically, so you must be somebody like an institution. When you rise up, that whole community rises with you.
Right.
And for me, it's Western, Central, and Western North. And then Ashanti. Even in the primaries where I didn't fare well, all my votes came from the Ashanti region.
I see.
There is a huge chunk of tribalism in politics, whether you like it or not. Look, in England, the English people would never vote for Labour Party. They vote Conservative. And then Irish people and Scottish would also not vote Conservative. They also vote Labour. So everywhere in the world, people have their identities.
Right.
That's why this man, Jacob Zuma, formed the party 2 months. He had 15% of the total votes counted, all because of his base. You know, you should be a son of a certain base. And in my case, I'm coming from Kwame Nkrumah's region. And that is the region that has not endorsed MPP or NDC. And it is linked to Western North. You know, the Seshi Nzema people are right. And then immediately to Central, Secondary Takrady to Cape Coast. So once you come from that place, I'm not saying you are going to get 100% of the votes, but when you get between 20 and 40% of the vote, that will be enough for the whole country to know that CPP has arisen, because for the first time they have declared a base. Then you start building from there.
So it's not an overnight process.
No, you start building.
Right.
You are not a magician. You start building like Parkway Sinduom did. No, this was the same arithmetic that worked for him.
Right.
He heard from Central region, that is southwestern part of Ghana. Then Nkrumah is base. And that is also the area that swings, because they don't believe in MPP or NDC.
That's right.
They look at you today and they vote. Next time they change their mind.
Yeah.
So when Parkway Sinduom came, even though his votes were split by Professor J.E.A. Mills, who was also from Central Region.
That's
At
right.
least we were able to send the election to a runoff. But in my case, the CPP was going to be lucky to the effect that the two Herculean persons, the Hercules, were coming from the north. NDC presidential candidate from the MPP from the north.
That's right.
And I will be a significant Akan person. Nzema mother and an Ashanti father. Somebody who was bred in both Ashanti and Nzema. I completed O-level Ashanti region, Kumasi High School. And then I came to my mother's area, Secondary St. John's School, did my sixth form over there. I speak all the languages of southwestern Ghana, and I speak Twi exceptionally well. No, very, very well, just as I'm speaking English.
Right.
So I felt it was going to be a big boost for the CPP, just as those who were endorsing me were dreaming. Now to your question. You go there, and then certain forces, some unseen forces somewhere, believe that the moment this man enters the political terrain, we are dead. Because Ghanaians know the way he can talk, and he also knows what he can say to destroy you. So let us destroy him before he grows up. The Akans have a saying that if you know that this stem will grow to come and prick your eye, why don't you destroy it before it can take shoot?
Right.
So that was what happened. That I was there. I mean, you asked me, how did you know this? Let me answer it before you ask the question.
Yes.
When the process was going on, from various regions, and these two reasons had been sold to them, that Anoche is known to Ghanaians more than everyone else in the party. So we should push him there so that campaigning will not be too difficult.
Right.
2, Anoche is coming from a certain base, southwestern Ghana, which is the base of the CPP. So push him there, and then identifying him with his own people will not be difficult. You can't send Frimpoma, a Bono woman, to go and talk to Nzemes to understand as an Nzema person talking to them. I believe it's natural. If you go to Gonja land, Mahama speaks Gonja.
Yeah.
And then you send Alan Chematin or me Anoche to go and talk to them either in English or in Twi. Which one would enter their brains faster? It will be the Gonja language. So
they can identify with that.
So everybody wants identification. If you got identified with Israel and sent his son Jesus Christ there, because at that time he didn't know Rome or anywhere. You understand? So that was what happened. And then the people started calling me from every angle, the regions, the constituencies. What is it? That you discover about 1,000 Ghana and then 1,005, 2,000.
So even in the CPP, there's monocracy.
Not from CPP, from another party.
External forces.
Another party that feels threatened by my very presence as a presidential candidate. take it this way. If, for example, that party wins, Takwan Sayema, Hunter West, Sekendi Takoradi, and all those areas, and they know that Yawanoche hails from that area and he's coming. And every vote is important.
Absolutely.
That is why the constitution is 50% plus one vote.
Yes.
So every single vote is extremely important. And then when they go for a meeting and say that, look, this man coming will destroy us because of his utterances.
You were the subject of conversation in closed-door meetings.
Nation, in fact, for the first time after the era of Pakwesi Nduom and Professor Jimambedu Akusa, this was the time, the real time that the primaries of the CPP became a factor. And I believe that's why you've called me here, all because of my singular presence on the terrain, just because of me. Why? Because there's no station in this country which had not heard my voice before. Young men and women, everybody. I remember yesterday, because of our Ghana Bar annual program in Kumasi.
Yes.
In the streets of Kumasi, I descended to a doom to buy something for the family. And then people will meet, winning lawyer historian, everywhere I turn. If I don't quickly get into my car, everybody will want to come and take a picture with me. First of all, I thank God personally because of where I'm coming from. And then two, for my party, that, you see, in the case of NDC and MPP, because of where they are coming from, almost everywhere in the world, we have two great parties.
That's right.
So if you are either a cripple or anything at all, and you are on the MPP ticket as a presidential candidate, it will not affect their fortunes much, because their supporters and people on the ground look at the party. If it is NDC, whoever they are bringing, people look at the party and not the leader.
Right.
Like Madam Tokonu, who is our Chief Justice in Ghana.
Right.
If she is contesting on the CPP ticket, it will be different from contesting on MPP or NDC ticket. The moment you put her on MPP ticket, there's nothing wrong. Or NDC. The moment
the focus is on the party, not the personality.
Yes.
Right.
The moment is the CPP or PNC, and they say, they will look at the personality. So I was trying to persuade them that I've read a little about political science, history, and law, and psychology, sociology. I know the way people think. When it is a smaller party that is itching to come up, it is not the name like Kotoko have already made the name. It is an individual that will have to carry the party on its shoulders. Otherwise, you perpetually fail because your name does not ring a bell in their ears. So in the case of CPP, people say Nkokrafo party and your party. So you need a person who is an institution in the country. And the moment he stands, people will ignore the party and look at that person.
Let's talk about the party.
And they failed, and they collected the money because I don't have the money to give to 1,330 something. And even if I had it, and I didn't
use it that way,
of course I will be like what people have been doing, and I will not be different. Why would I ask Ghanaians to vote for me? No, I will have to prove to Ghanaians that we have to do a different thing, shape our minds towards a certain direction, and know that 1,000 cedis, in less than a month, it would have been spent.
In fact, in today's Ghana, in less than maybe a week, that money can disappear from your pockets. Now, let's talk about the CPP as a party. Now, the CPP has struggled with internal divisions over the years. How united do you think the party is going into this year's elections?
This year's election, when it comes to unity, I believe it will continue to be our bane. The reason being that the vast majority of people who are sympathetic to the party and to Kwame Nkrumah, very eminent people in the country, if I should mention names like Professor Demensa, Professor Akila Pasoya, and big people. And then outside the country, including even presidents of certain countries, they felt that this was the time for Nkrumah's party to come up. And
in fact, even young ones actually are yearning to be a part of that Nkrumahist roots. They want to get close to the CPP, but they see that there's discord.
Very good. And so people are saying that, look, I'm not the best in the country, but for now, you are better than anyone else in the CPP, because the young ones easily identify you with the history of Ghana. Imagine that even the president of the republic comes out on, 5th August or so, to say that Nkrumah was not the only founder.
That's right.
And then almost every radio and TV station in Ghana calls Anoche. Where there are history professors everywhere, political science lecturers everywhere, say, Anoche, come and respond.
In fact, you are going viral on social media.
Look, that very week when the president made that statement, I was told by a poll that I became about the most trending, they
yes.
use that language, trending person in the entire West Africa. And then the time this man to Napo said Mokwame Nkrumah.
Yes.
You know, in less than a week, I did a program on a certain station I don't want to mention here. In less than a week, I was hitting about 1 million views. Yes, and when my son at the university sent it to me, if it was the station, I wouldn't have believed it. My son said, Daddy, look at where you are. So all people came together and said, this is the man that can make politics in Ghana instead of duopoly, a tripartite, so that at least MPP and NDC will begin to sit up and think again that if you think that every 4 or 8 years you have the natural mandate of coming back, CPP is coming to prove you wrong. You know, and then unfortunately, certain people who know politics, I would say dirty politics, because politics is also a dirty game, bring in something that will foist away Anoche. Now to your question.
Yeah.
The moment this thing is done, it means you have disappointed a big chunk of the people in the party. You didn't allow the right candidate to come up. And that does not speak well for the party when it comes to unity. In any case, I'm telling them that at the end of the day, it is a big picture that is important. That is the party. So they should ignore whatever took place, and then let's put our acts together and then support the person who is there. The second problem also, which is going to disturb us, is that CPP has never been properly organized for an election, all because, you see, in the case of NDC, it was built on national resources. And you can't say no, because the one who founded it, at the time he founded it, he was the head of state of Ghana. So you can't tell me that Rollins had any personal or private money from anywhere to build the party. It will be state resources. It's natural. I mean, it's natural everywhere. I'm not damning him. It's everywhere in the world. For example, if Rollins is the president of Ghana,
right,
and he's traveling to Tamale, and he's supposed to get there in 2 hours, are you saying he will be like me to go and queue?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he'll go with one of the national helicopters, well, and you can't fault him.
That is just the advantage of being in that position.
And then NDC, MPP too, haven't struggled from 92 up to the year 2000. They gained power.
That's right.
So whatever they are also doing is based on national resources. If you invite, let's say, Vice President Baumia to your station here, you should know that he will come on a state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, together with all the police and everybody.
Yes, I mean, even in the campaignings, they will use state resources to campaign.
CPP has never benefited from that. So the party is, if it were to be a human being, I would say a man of straw. We don't have anything in our coffers. And it is also not sensible for any rich person to say that we are going to sponsor you when we know that you don't even have one seat in parliament, and then the last election you can't convince us that even 1% of the people of Ghana voted for you. Green Street presidential candidate, do you know how many votes he had? 12,000. And 12,000 is like 2 or 3 polling stations of MPP in Kumasi, any of the Kumasi seat, Bantama, Swami, wherever. So I mean, when people are talking about millions, who are talking about 12,000? Chirabosum from nowhere came to Ghana 120,000. That means 10 times what the CPP, a traditional party, had. So the party is not a party to follow at this time. Technically, it's not. And I'm repeating that in that sense, you need just one person. It's like a team that is not doing well. Then you will need a Pele, Ronaldo, or Ponria. You understand there.
So then the onus falls on the personality to really rise up the party.
Not the name of that team. And because they couldn't do that, it means they don't know what they're about. This party doesn't know what it's about. Look, in the 2008 election, when they went for the primaries, they brought in Dr. Apakwesi Indium from southwestern Ghana, as I've been arguing in arithmetic terms. And then the people in that area voted somehow for him, and he pushed the election to a runoff. That's 2008. Now come the following year. When I say the following election year, 2012, they brought in Dr. Abu Sakara.
Yes.
He didn't campaign at all in the country. Later on, we discovered that this man's cousin is the MPP or was the NDC presidential candidate. So whatever went on, at the end of it all, on paper, CPP knows that Abu Sakara did not campaign. He said he was ill and left the country. So you see what...
Do you doubt that? Is that the inference you're drawing because of his familial ties in a different party, that he wasn't really sick, it was a strategy?
Let me tell you something. If somebody is found murdered here in a pool of blood, and then you are found holding a dagger with blood-stained dagger, you will be the first suspect.
Absolutely.
So things like that, there's no way you can put 1 + 1 to become 2, but you put all the surrounding circumstances together. You know, I mean, the whole leader of a party not campaigning, saying that he was ill, then the party fared very badly. Then the next election year, with Kwame Nkrumah's own daughter, Samia, contesting against Greenstreet. I'm sure you know Mr.
Yes.
Greenstreet.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to talk plenty. Then the party voted for Greenstreet. And then another time, another election year, Greenstreet contested with this virile lawyer, Brata Kwete, known in the country everywhere.
Absolutely.
And they voted for Greenstreet again, and our vote dwindled to the west, 12,000. And this election year, do you know that Greenstreet came to pick form and wanted to contest? So this was what external forces were doing to our party. And that was why people everywhere said no. Once this man is always talking Kwame Nkrumah, look at the day Napo said Mo Kwame Nkrumah. What the man did to him. He's brave, courageous, confident, and learned enough to lead the party. So let's bring him. And the party again showed that we have to put there a person who would make us work extra hard. For me, they would have worked hard. For another person, it would have been extra hard based on the evidence on the ground. So they voted for Frimpoma. And still, it shows that there will be great division in the party. Those who want serenity and those who believe in aligning themselves with external forces to destroy the party.
Have you congratulated her yet?
Today, I'm using your platform to congratulate her. Yeah, I'm using your platform because on the day of the election, the primaries, you know, I had like a ghost. When you see a ghost there in front of you, I was being haunted by the money that went around and what my supporters were telling. So one first can be a ma, because you discovered in Ghana must go bag mo. And for that reason, I didn't like her.
Yes, because we caught up with you, our reporters caught up with you after the event, and you didn't have too much to say. You were not.
Yeah, I'm a human being. I was angry.
Okay.
If I wasn't angry, I would have been like God. With God, when you sin against Him 70 times, 7 times a day, He will forgive you immediately. With human beings, it pains us. It hurts us.
It's a normal human reaction.
For us to cool. Right. So today I have cooled down.
Sure.
And I wish Madam Frimpoma very well. Whatever role I have to play for her to win, I would have to do that. And that is where I have started. That I'm looking at the bigger picture, the very, very big picture. That is the CPP. If she wins right now, it will be CPP that will have come to power. And that will change the fortunes of Ghanaians. And I believe that I will have even a greater opportunity of serving Ghanaians because that will be my party. So I wish her very well. I congratulate her.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about the potential for alliances. And a lot of my listeners ask this question whenever this topic comes up. Now, given the current political dynamics, do you think the CPP should consider forming alliances with other smaller parties or even with one of the major parties to increase its influence? What do you say to those who think that, well, on the one hand, maybe the CPP should be the leading force and unite all parties that have Nkrumahist leanings? Or on the other hand, some say, why not join one of the bigger parties to shore up your popularity?
Yeah, let me start from the bigger parties. You see, it is fundamentally impossible. I won't say difficult, it's impossible. Because in the case of the NDC It is built on the J.J. Rawlings tradition. And J.J. Rawlings was one who believed in the private sector as the engine of growth. So his 19 years in power saw all of the enterprises, factories, and corporations established in Nkrumah either being sold or being left to go into disrepair. Can talk of Ghana Airways, Black Star Line, even Gothisburg, this and Ghana Railways, all this. I remember 1984, when I was in Takwa, when I heard our results had been released, I used the railway to travel, the sleeper, to travel from Takwa to Kumasi to go for my result, not knowing God was talking to me proverbially that one day you'll be sitting at TV3 or so, 3 FM to tell Ghanaians that was the last time you used the...
This was in 1984.
84, when I completed O level. And then after Rawlings collapsed, all this. I don't know why people sometimes, when they love you and they see that there's something wrong with you, they don't want to say it. No matter the love you have for Rawlings also, you should know that he destroyed about 90% of all the...
You said 90%?
If not more, about almost... But we had all the factories working Liman's time. Dr. Liman was an... See, General Champon was an Nkrumah. He even came to add more to what Nkrumah did, like Nasia Rice, Tata, what do you call it? This brewery, Tiger Pito, so many other things, and then Pond Dams. Whatever Nkrumah did, he tried his best to add more. But when Rawlings came, he made sure...
92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio.
He made sure he had destroyed all these things. And then the few that were left were also destroyed by...
So you say fundamentally that ideology of the NDC would not marry with the CPP?
MPP too will not work because they also believe in private sector as the engine of growth. And that is the reason why when Nana Akufo-Addo said one district, one factory, Ghanaians made the mistake of thinking that it was the president who was going to set up factories for the country. No, it's not the government that was going to do that because they don't believe in the nation, the state, taking the lead in industrialization. They think that you have to empower private people to do. That's why, what do you say? 320 says one district, one factory. We can't find them anywhere because they are for private people, and private people cannot employ much. Look, in 1965, State Farms Corporation had employed almost 20,000 Ghanaians when our population was less than 10 million. Today, we are 33 million. We hit 33 about 2 months ago, 33 million. And we don't have any state entity employing even, 2,000 people. It's a very big shame. So that too will not work. When it comes to the smaller parties, that is also a difficulty simply because with all the years we have tried, CPP comes to the table, the negotiation table, on a certain basis that one, the name Convention People's Party was Nkrumah's own choice of name. So if all of you sitting here claim to be Nkrumahs, you cannot alter that name.
Okay.
Two, the emblem, the red cockerel, was chosen by the very man you believe in, your mentor. So how do you come and sit here and say that we should change these two? Then let's talk about other things. Then other people too will say that, hey, like say PNC, we too, our name is People's National Convention. That's what right. People know. And then we have our emblem, the coconut tree. So how do you come to negotiation table with one party having certain areas non-negotiable? And then we come and what are we coming to negotiate? So
you say that could be quite a difficult arrangement with each party so deeply rooted in their own ideology.
The only thing that will make it work is where you have a personality, a giant personality, you know, where everybody will rally around. And that was where I felt, whatever you are, you should believe in yourself. Absolutely. I felt that by 2024, either I was going to win the election on the ticket of the what do you call CPP?
CPP?
Yeah, I can see you scratching your head. Or be the opposition, or at least the kingmaker party. And the moment we hit the kingmaker status, when I say kingmaker, but 10% or more, then the thing will go for a runoff. Then the smaller Nkrumah's parties will begin coming to rally around the CPP.
Right.
That the day we're able to do that, that is where all Nkrumahs will come to the CPP. But for now, no. let's see what happens after 2024 election.
Absolutely. Time check. It is some 25 minutes past the hour of 9. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We have the famous lawyer historian in the studios, Dr. Yaw Anoche Frimpong, and he's been talking to us about some history and also his recent presidential ambitions. We'll go on a very, very quick break. When we come back, there's a lot more right here on 3FM Sunrise.
2 Ghana cedis, for say 200 Ghana cedi. Chow, they were 539 daily chop money. Net the 10 a.m. Debia. Dial star 446 hash. Now for option 1, we make you lucky numbers. A free 1 go see 39. Net try direct 2 do see no home 40 times. Try direct 3 net the 400 times. And now direct 1 net the 20 times.
Ready? Yo, ready?
If you are Joalet. They were 539 chop money. Ucha, Ubedi.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can swap to tickets as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now when is the car prizes are in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
Radio.
This is 3FM 92.7, your election command center. This is 3FM 92.7, your election command center. This is 3FM 92.7, your election command center.
It's 87 days to election 2024. Ghana is seen as a beacon of democracy in Africa. Let's prove this in this year's general election on December 7th, 2024.
We are 10 a.m. We're still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're still here speaking with Dr. Yaw Anoche Frimpong.
Faults are coming from. Nobody needs to tell us. The first time we tried to join in an alliance with the MPP. When that failed, they quickly jettisoned us, the so-called Great Alliance. They quickly threw us out. And since then, we have learned our lesson. And then another time, Pakwesi Nduom's time during the runoff, we gave our support to the NDC. After that, we didn't see the rise of the party. The thing that I believe has worked for us and who should guide us is the fact that when we tried putting there this man, Green Street, this is a man who doesn't understand any Ghanaian language. And I'm borrowing from the famous Professor Senna, former head of department, sociology department, University of Ghana, a very famous academician. He said that 80% of all communication in Ghana is in the Twi language. And in less than 100 years, the entire West Africa will be speaking Twi. This man is coming from Volta region, but he did an excellent academic work. So I'm telling you that if you have a party in Ghana, the chairman, general secretary, presidential candidates, these three cannot speak the Twi language, I can assure you, your party will not fly. You see, when CPP had Akomfra as general secretary, and then Samia as chairman or chairperson. Samia, cannot speak any Ghanaian language. I confront only English and Ga. The party was not working until in a short interregnum when it was given to Kabila as acting general secretary because of his expert efficiency over the Twi language. Every morning, Kabila was on every station. But you see, if you're like a Confra or Samia, only the restricted English
speaking
platforms will be calling you. And the people going to vote, Professor Sana tells us that 80% of them know English. And we know there's percentage of Ghanaians who like English. With us, the Twi-speaking people in Kumasi, even if the person is a professor of English, he wants you to address him in Twi. So the party wasn't flying. Then you go and put there 2 occasions, Green Street, who cannot speak the Twi language or any language at all, which is a Ghanaian language. So it became a big disincentive. Now, we have learned a lesson. When we are putting anybody there, let the person be a Twi-speaking person.
They don't have to be from...
Not necessarily an Akan,
okay.
A Twi-speaking person, like the way Mahama is speaking Twi.
Right.
He's a Gonja, but he speaks Twi with an expert efficiency. So he's there. And Baumia too is trying. He's trying because he knows what I'm talking about.
So even when he's struggling, he wants to communicate.
He's understood.
Yes.
He like speaking broken English.
Right.
He will be understood by the Queen or King Charles. He will be understood. And that is what we must attempt to do. The more important one becomes the fact that how come that Dr. Parkwesi Intuom was able to push the election to a runoff. You do all the calculations and you will see that because he hailed from the southwestern part of the country, every party in the world needs to create a base. If you don't have a base, you can't contest an election. The other time I appeared on one of the TV stations with 2 or 3 of those who are going to become independent candidates. And I made them to know that they were talking, I'll win. And I asked them the question, where is your base in the country? Maybe you are an Ashanti, born and bred in Accra, and Ashantis don't know you. No, in politics, it's a big factor. But even in your forms, even though we say there must be no party formed on tribal lines, the very presidential forms you fail, they ask you where you come from, which region, and where your mother comes from, where your father comes, before academic things. So it means that at the back of everybody, we want to know whether you are a true Ghanaian. And if you're a true Ghanaian, for politics, you must also have a base. Without a base, you can never fly. Without a base, you can never... Do you know where Chiabosum's vote came from in 2020? He started at one place, used his Fire TV to do documentaries on Nkrumah. And because in 2020, just as before, we didn't have a strong Nkrumahist party, those sympathetic to Kwame Nkrumah, largely coming from southwestern Ghana, gave him votes. Then he too, coming from Kumasi, Diase, he's from my father's family, also gave him votes. So Ashanti and Western, at least, no matter how humble the votes were, he was third. So this time CPP must learn that it will not, as when I was campaigning, they told me that we know Frimpoma in the party more than you. And I also told them that yes, because he has been your chairman for 4 years. So definitely you will know her more than me. At least she went around to campaign before she was voted as a chairman. So you know her more than me. I'm also telling you that Ghanaians know me more than her. And the December 7 election is not a CPP election. It's a Ghanaian election, a national election. So I'm using this as a base to say that the next time, come also. See, first one I say, put there somebody who understands the Twi language. Well, 2, somebody who comes from a certain base, not only Western region. If you put there a candidate from Volta region, the person is going to disturb NDC a lot. And you should know the reason. When you do anthropology and sociology, you will know that the Ewes and the Nzemes are 2 people in Ghana who always want their own first before others. And no man listening to me knows what I'm saying. So the moment, let's say, you have Mr. Mahama as the NDC presidential candidate.
Right.
And he knows that Volta region is the base of the NDC. And you have a CPP presidential candidate coming from Volta region. it is going to disturb Mahama because in the case of Mahama, it is their tradition. That is why they are going to be sympathetic to him. In the case of that person, if he's called Dr. Mega, this one is our own blood. So the man is going to split the votes there.
So does that then become, with this scenario that you're painting, it will become a party, a well-established party versus a personality? And that will be the two elements in the boxing ring.
So the sentimentality will come in. The passion. So now you are going to. So where you will succeed more is that there's no way 100% votarians will vote for NDC. At least at most you get, let's say, 80%.
Right.
That 20%, that is either indecisive or would have otherwise voted for MPP or any of the smaller parties. This time we have our son. So the 20% would go to him. Or at least 15% out of the 20 will go to him. Then come to the 80%. Some people will say, but since Rollins' time, nobody has ever considered we votarians being the head leadership, coming to the leadership of the NDC. Always you go to certain places, and then after that, the person becomes our leader. Let us try our own. So out of the 80, which should have stood immaculate for the NDC, you begin to pinch in holes. So I'm saying that in politics, you silently, because when you say it aloud, it's like you are doing tribalism. But we have to say it aloud here that a lot of mathematics goes into politics. They said, hey, let's bring in somebody who comes from a certain area where he's easily accepted. And especially, and I mentioned in Zema and because by way of sociology, I know that those people, sentimentally, they choose their own first before they go outside.
So, Doc, you say it would be naive of us not to actually avert our minds to the science behind why we actually pick who we want to pick.
That is a mistake. Like, for example, trying to market NDC or CPP in the Ashanti region. When Ashantis know by history that the MPP tradition was founded at Menchia. It was founded at Menchia. So when you are campaigning there on the ticket of the NDC, it becomes difficult. And then it becomes the pill becomes less bitter to swallow for Ashantis when they discover that for the first time, the NDC presidential candidate is an Ashanti man.
You think that would cause some upset?
Certainly, because human beings, our minds are like the clock. They take kakakats. So at a certain point, people will begin to say, "Ya twa MPP said dear ni yenye film. Nne dear yensu yenye yenuya. Inti so yen DC or ye CPP o mumi yensu." And I'm not saying 100% of the people will agree with him, but at least the situation and the condition will be far better than previously. And the same way, when you look at Western region, as I sit here, I don't know myself. People tell me, whenever I dress like the way I'm dressing before you, they say, hey, what's a Kwame Nkrumah pow? When in fact, I look like my father, and my father was like an Nkrumah twin brother. Too much, even though he was an Ashanti man. He so much resembled Nkrumah that people could just come to the house and say, hey, Papa, now the Unyano Kwame Nkrumah na. And from my father's blood, accidentally, I have come to look like him. And then, this one, not accidentally, luckily, I come from Nkrumah's district. You understand? So when you factor all this, and then also, I'm educated enough, because with the CPP tradition, the one who founded our party was Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, followed by a Dr. Hila Liman.
Right.
And then we had Professor or Dr. Hagan, then Dr. Pakwesi Indum, then a lawyer, Agude, then a lawyer, Green Street. So for us, when it comes to the scholarship, you must be on top because that was the foundation. That was where our party was groomed. And I have got that one too.
And Doc, you are certainly a walking encyclopedia. When it comes to the history, you're always giving us the much needed education. In fact, today we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot.
And then the last one I have to have before your time runs out is the fact that I also sit here as a 7-day Adventist. And we also like our own because we are voting on Saturday, and SDA people don't like that. So when they get a presidential candidate who will come and change the law for them, they will be happy. So I know that CPP lost a lot this time. But as I'm saying, I'm going to give my strength and my cooperation, my time and my prayer to Nana Akosua Frimpong so that there will be a big change in 2024 come December 7.
Absolutely. And Doc, thank you so much for your time this morning, for giving us some much needed education. We're always learning a lot whenever we listen to you. Dr. Yao Anoche Frimpong is a lawyer, historian, leading member of the CPP. It's been wonderful chatting with you this morning. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
I thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The best in